somebody who may have a dissenting opinion from us, John. We
Okay.
have Rebel, who's calling in from DC. Rebel, you claim that there is some truth in QAnon theories. Is that right?
Just a tad bit. It's just a little bit of truth mixed in with mostly lies.
Okay.
In what sense?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I mean, it's quite controversial. Like, do you guys know about that one documentary that came out associated with QAnon? It was about like 3 to 4 hours. It was narrated by like some Swedish lady, like named like Jane.
You're talking about the fall of the cabal. Yes, I'm aware of it.
Exactly. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I've seen a lot of it. To be honest with you, it's so full of shit. I can't even finish it all. But yes, I've seen a lot of it. Yeah, I've seen highlights, I guess.
Yeah. So the sort of, you know, the darker, more evil part of it about you know, these rich elite people being involved with you know, the child sacrifice or trafficking, abuse kind of thing. That part I do believe to be true. You know, and I think we can all agree that, you know, there was like, you know, this whole Jeffrey Epstein scandal, right? And, you know, that came on mainstream news. And,
so
you know,
here's the difference, right? Here's the difference here. So people will point to Jeffrey Epstein, right? And will say, hey, look, this is an example of an elitist pedophile ring. This is what Q is talking about. Oh my gosh, this is real. And Jeffrey Epstein was involved, as far as, you know, courts are concerned, with child trafficking, right? And doing heinous sex crimes, and probably other people who are also in his circles were also doing the same thing. So 100% true, right? Like, as far as the courts are concerned. And the thing is, though, Q has never said Jeffrey Epstein has anything to do with it. Q has never said any of those people have anything to do with it. If anything, they have claimed that a lot of people, specifically in left-wing spaces, Hillary Clinton and other folks, for example, were doing things even beyond just the child stuff. And also, the claims that the fall of the cabal may go way beyond just sex trafficking. We're talking about adrenochrome extractions. We're talking about underground tunnels where children were kept at. None of this happened with Epstein. With the Epstein stuff, it was teenagers and young adults who were put in precarious situations that had to, you know, rely on the social sort of you know, the social graces of the people around them, and also the money that was being paid for them to cover up for their crimes. I mean, like, we're talking about stuff happening in the real world versus a fantasy story being told. And like, that's the difference. Like, Fall of the Cabal tells a completely different story. Like, yeah, okay, you can make common themes there, but the fact is sex trafficking happens, and it does happen with powerful people. So what? I mean, that still had to be proven in a court of law. It didn't happen because some people on the internet were posting about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just brought that up as an example that everyone is familiar with. You know, that's sort of like similar and related to what was shown in the Fall of the Cabal. Like, yeah, that was a sex, like a pedophile ring, in, you know, with a bunch of wealthy, you know, powerful, even famous celebrities apparently were involved. When you look at Jeffrey Epstein's plane log or whatever. So I'm just saying, you just take that a step. You just take that a step further, almost like stuff maybe you would find on the dark web. And yes, I do believe there were darker stuff going on with the, you know, like the adrenochrome.
Listen, but Rebel, you know who else was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane log? Donald Trump.
Who's that?
The guy who everybody thinks Q was working with.
I believe. Sure.
Okay.
I believe it.
But that's the thing, right? If Q was real, and Q claims, right, the Post claimed to be part of a sort of quasi-military operation within the White House, working with Donald Trump, why would Donald Trump be working against the sex ring that he would be allegedly a part of?
Getting thrown under the bus there.
Well, But you remember, right? No, I agree, Dan. Remember my first statement about QAnon was actually it's just a little bit of truth mixed with mostly lies. So I don't like I never consider myself to be part of Q or like the whole like what was there saying? Oh, like where we go one, we go all. Like I trust me, I made after a certain point. Like at first, like my friends who were into Q, I was like, come on, like really? Like I almost got deceived by them, you can say, after watching that documentary because it seemed so convincing. Except towards the end where they said like Barron Trump and all of them is like apparently the messiah of the world and stuff. That's where it kind of I kind of lost my head at it. But my friends who were really into it, even to the point where after Trump was not reelected as president and Biden took his place, and they were still in it talking about, oh, yeah, it's still part of the plan. Like, just wait, you'll see. Like, I just completely lost it. I just, full reign made fun of them at that point. So I don't believe in it. In fact, what I do believe QAnon to be was not a quasi-military operation like they said it was, but rather it was actually just known as controlled opposition. I believe that was headed by our intelligence agencies, like mostly the CIA and probably FBI as well.
Well, I don't think that that finding a situation that kind of fits a square peg with a square hole, but it's like a slightly different square to the one that you're putting in, that doesn't necessarily make something true. It's with everything, you can find something that might fit to kind of bias you to getting some confirmation on this being true. I think I'm not with you on this. I'm not following this.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing, right? When it comes to the Epstein stuff, okay, if you look at how the case was built against him and what they had to do to gather evidence for that, absolutely zero of it came from anything Q related whatsoever. It came from the testimonies of real victims, and it came from the testimonies of real people that actually work with him in these spaces. Like, again, rich people cover up their crimes. I mean, that's nothing new. If the documentary telling you that was like a revelation for you, I'm sorry, but that's not very significant. It happens all the time. It really does. And it was particularly scandalous, if only for the fact that it happened for so long with Epstein and because he knew so many people. I mean, that's why it really blew up. But like, I don't know. The idea that Q is controlled opposition is weird because I don't know why the CIA would actually make a controlled opposition force to invade the Capitol building, one, but also like I don't know whose interests they would even be serving at that point because they're not making Trump look good. They're not making Democrats look good. I don't know who they're making look good at that point. Like I don't see how that would even function. But and here's the thing too, right? People that I listed earlier in these crimes that have happened, the guy that just attacked Pelosi, they have a long history of posting online. They don't need to be paid by the government to do what they did. I mean, they just did it, Like, it's
because they think it's the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Rebel. I don't know.
Yeah,
you are. I guess.
Well,
what do you think?
Well, by the way, Dan, do you remember me from my call the other week, right? With
yes,
with your friend Blaine Blathius or whatever. Okay, cool. Yeah. So what was I gonna say? Yeah. So the one thing I tried to mention twice on that show, but somehow it was not heated, but there was a lot of things being said, and you guys had a lot of thoughts, so I wasn't able to bring it out. I was gonna mention the fact that the astronauts that I was mentioning, they are all they're all part of Freemasonry. Okay, like they're Freemasons.
Okay.
And in fact, one very
we gotta
biblical.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but like we do have a general policy where we try to follow the topic that you told the call screener about. And I know that you previously talked about this subject, but like, keeping things on track. I mean, I guess I'll address it since you brought it up. The fact, who else is a lot of Freemasons? A lot of FBI agents and a lot of CIA agents, because it's an old. You ever been to a Freemason lodge? It's old white dudes that just hang out, and it's a boys' club. That's it. Guess what? I was look. I'm serious. I'm an Eagle Scout. Okay. lot of people who work in scouting are also Freemasons because it's like a very similar type of organization. They actually have a sub-organization within Boy Scouts called the Order of the Arrow, which is basically Freemason light. Okay, it's a political, it's a social connection. It's like the Skull and Bones Club at Harvard. Okay, yeah, it's a secret group, but it's just for rich people to like have their little clubs and like and get their political connections. I mean, like, yeah, a lot of the astronauts are also Eagle Scouts too. There's a couple of them. Does that mean that they are all secretly connected? No, they have similar values
They
and
like to hang out.
when they hang out, that's really it, you know? Like that doesn't it's not conclusive. It is.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like you can there's other simpler explanations than all astronauts are covering up the fact that they've been to space. But that was a different conversation. That was for another time. Anyway,
But
right.
thanks
Right,
for giving
no,
us some insight on the Q stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing you want to say, Rebel? Because
No.
yeah, go ahead. No?
Yeah, no. The only reason why I brought that up was because, when you look into, I mean, obviously you guys would disagree, but with Freemasonry, I believe there's what's called, especially with all secret societies, like Skull and Bones, for example, which I do believe to be highly nefarious, but there's what's called an esoteric doctrine and an exoteric, right? So the exoteric would be what they want the general public perception to be about their group, but then esoteric.
I'm just going to cut you off a second, Rebel. Can I just ask a question?
John's coming in. John's coming in hot.
Are you actually a member of the Freemasons? Just a simple yes or no on this.
No, are you?
No, I'm not. But however, if a secret organization wanted you to know what goes on in there, it wouldn't be a secret organization. So I don't know if like just guessing what goes on in the Freemasons, what they do and don't want you to know is I don't think that's going to help us anyway right now.
Well, I mean, there's what's called like, there's what's
or what you think. I mean, it
Bible.
sounds like this is what you think. This is what goes on.
No. I mean, you let me finish my sentence.
Well, I mean, I kind of just lost interest with what you think the Freemasons. I'm sorry, it's been a hard show. We've been talking about QAnon, and now you're talking about a lot of stuff. Freemasons. Yeah.
Go ahead and finish your thought, Rebel. But we do need to close out the show here in just a second.
Yeah, no, I was going to say there's what's known as the quote Bible of Freemasonry, and it was written by a man by the name of Albert Pike, who was a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, and he's known as one of the main pioneers of modern day Freemasonry. And that book is available to anyone in public, and right in there he says that the god of Masonry is Lucifer, and part of their agenda is to deceive people. So I mean, it's right in there.
I mean, look, the thing about there is an industry of people. I was gonna do a deep dive on this. I can't remember her name, but there's a lady who was the sort of progenitor of angel therapy. Okay, she was really into angel therapy. Literally, just this belief that guardian angels can like heal you of stuff. She has since renounced her angel therapy and has become a Christian, a born again Christian. And now goes on different shows and talks to people about being a born again Christian. I mean, the grift is still there. You understand? Like, even though she left one grift, she just went on another. There's a lot of people. UFO conventions are notorious for this. A lot of so-called ex-Freemasons talk about this. I mean, it is an entire micro industry of people who have some maybe legitimate experience within an organization and then talk about those experiences openly. The thing is, just like how that guy is saying, oh, well, they actually all believe in Lucifer, I guarantee you can talk about other Freemasons who say, no, we actually don't believe in it. So it's just a he said, she said thing at that point. Unless you're in the organization, you're not going to know for sure. But even then, again, so this is true. I'm not making this up, Rebel. A few months ago, I asked Greg, our executive producer, if they could pay for me to become a Freemason. I wanted this to be a long con where I went to a couple Freemason meetings and then like I showed off some symbology and then I wanted to make people guess I was a Freemason. It didn't work out. You want to know why? It's boring. I talked to the Freemasons on the phone and I tried to get in and it's just a voice. I didn't even want to go. I was like, I don't even want to spend my free time. with these people because it's not even worth it, you know? So
It's just men helping each other out and
it's
saying, "Well,
civic,
I
it's
can do this for you."
old men contributing their money towards civic projects. That's
There
like
you
the
go.
majority of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, Rebel. I'm sorry, you know, I'm really I'm dishing out a lot of stuff on you here. But I appreciate the fact that you called in again because you're willing to talk to me. I hope you felt like
Yeah.
you got some of your points across, even though John and I are both talking a lot, especially me. But we do have to kind of wrap things up because we are at the end of the show. So if you want to talk more about what you think is real from Q, hit me up next time. Okay. And I could go point by point why follow the cabal is stupid, but that's just my opinion. Okay, Rebel, we'll hopefully we'll talk again sometime. Have a good one.
Thanks, Rebel.